exam. It's just I won't do it when I fully prepared for it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you're just planning sort of end of June kind of time
Yeah.
for now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, we can get you to that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other exam that you took?
The other exam is not an important exam. It's also about English exam for being a teacher in my hometown. But I don't really want to do that. I got good
Is it
grades, but
is it the one
yeah, I talked
that
before.
you said? Sorry, is it the one that you said that your parents? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, your parents
yeah.
want you
That's
to do it.
actually like
Right. All
I
right.
got
Yeah.
really good grades, but still I just wanna give it a pass. Like just don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's not top of your priority list.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So let me tell you what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you have got your package of 5 classes, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of do those over the next
Mm-hmm.
few weeks, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose. And remind me, I think that we agreed it would be 4 classes of speaking and 1 of writing. Is that what we agreed?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I think that's what we said.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I can't remember exactly, to be honest. Tracy has all of those
Right.
details. She's in charge of the details of that side.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're going to do speaking.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start with
That's
some
great.
speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to take some of the new questions that have just come out in May
Mm-hmm.
and answer some of those. So we're going to start with some part 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you, you're going to answer, and then I'll give you some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about like how your answering style
Mm-hmm.
and what you can do to improve,
Mm-hmm.
correct any mistakes,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
That will be for part 1, and then we'll do some part 2 questions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the new part 2 questions. And if we have time, we'll do some part 3.
All right.
But my first priority for today is some of the part 1 and part 2 questions.
All right. Got it.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. So let's get started. We can have a look, first of all, at questions about relaxing.
Right.
Now, let me just pull up the right page. So let's talk about relaxing. What do you do to relax?
Probably read a book or grab some snacks to eat or Netflix and chill. Yeah.
Why?
I because like reading or watching a movie can help me release some pressure. Like my pressure got lifted off by watching a movie or reading a normal book. Yeah.
Okay. And do you think that doing sports is a good way to relax?
It is, but I'm not really athletic, so I wouldn't go for sports to relax and chill.
Hmm. Do you think that vacation is a good time for you to relax?
Oh yeah, vacation is definitely a great choice. But vacation takes cost a lot of money. Like, but reading and movie cost nothing. Yeah.
Well,
You are frozen. Oh no.
your internet went bad for a second there. Could you say the last 2 sentences
Oh
again?
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I said vacation is definitely a great choice, but it costs a lot of money. And by contrast, reading and watching a movie costs nothing. So, yeah.
That's true. Okay. And final question. Do you think students need more relaxing time?
Yes, of course. Like high pressure would really break them down, and it's not good for their mental health and physical health. So they really should get more relaxed time.
Okay, very good. All right. let me share my screen. So just a couple of things. My main point for you there with those answers, Tom, is that your answers were a little short, a little bit too short for me. I'd like you to talk just a little bit more, one or two more sentences, add an extra bit of detail. Because the examiner wants to, hear what you have to say, wants to hear your English. The examiner doesn't want to keep asking you why. But that's the length of your answers was a bit short then. So when we do the next topic, which is about primary school, I want you to try to talk a little bit more for each question. Okay? Release some pressure. What do you think? What's the problem with this one?
I don't know. Probably it's not a natural way to say it. Release some stress.
Better would be to. No, again, that's just you're thinking of like, 怎么说呢？缓解压力.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking of the Chinese way to say it. Let off steam.
Oh.
Or chill out. Both of those would be a good. So you could say, I think watching TV is a great way to let off steam, or it's a great way to chill out.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so release some pressure is a very kind of a Chinglish way of describing it, but it's not very natural. Okay, very good. And then my pressure got lifted. You could just in a very simple way here say, like, I feel a lot better after that. Like, that would be the easy way to say it. Or you could say,
I feel less stressed.
Yeah, feel less stressed after, and then you say whatever the thing is that's made you feel less stressed, like watching TV or playing computer games or whatever it is.
But like my pressure got lifted is also Chinglish.
It's just I can't say that one's Chinglish exactly, but it's just not very natural English.
It's just like I watched Alan's show and Grayson Chan's an American singer. He was like, my pressure got lifted off, blah 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 blah. So I picked up this.
Who said that?
Grayson Chan's an American singer. He's not popular.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know him. My pressure got lifted.
Like he said, my pressure.
Well, no, here's a good friend. Now,
yeah.
This one, if you want to learn this one, you can like take some time. Felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. But that's after. That's not a sort of day-to-day thing. Where you go, I've been working hard today, watch a bit of TV. That way is like to feel less stressed or to let off steam or to chill out. This one, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, is a much more serious one. Like you are, you have the pressure of something for a long time. And then finally you get rid of that pressure and you can say, I can finally relax and look forward to the future. An example would be in a movie when someone has been accused of a crime, a serious crime, but they didn't really do it. So they but they're in court and they are very worried that maybe they will go to jail, but eventually the judge decides, no, you're innocent. So they can finally relax and a weight has been lifted off their shoulders.
Got it.
So it's a big situation like that. And that might have been what the singer was talking about.
Got it.
Cool. What about the last one?
Get more relaxed time. Like have more time to relax.
That's one way to say it. Or you could say get more relaxation time.
Oh, got it.
But then you could also say get more me time.
Yeah, I know that, me time.
Yeah. I think you used that in our mock test, from what I can remember.
Oh, I don't
You
remember.
might have used that. No. Okay, but the rest of your grammar was good. But it feels like your English is a little, I don't know, slower or less fluent than it was when we had our mock test. Do you feel like you're a little bit like rusty with your English right now?
Yes, I do.
It feels like that to me. So let's keep talking. We'll move on to the next set of questions. So the next set of questions is about primary school. Now, what did you like to do the most when you were in primary school?
Well, I like to hang out with my friends when I was in the primary school because I really had a great time with my friends. She was really hilarious and funny. Well, I also enjoy reading a book when I was in the primary school because I really had no better things to do. The school didn't allow us to bring phone or electronic devices.
Hold on. All right. Next question. How did you go to your primary school?
I lived on campus, so I just walked to the class from my dormitory.
Okay. And how did you like your primary school?
Oh well, I don't really like it. I felt like I was a robot or like exam machine. Like I was forced to cram for the exam and forced to recite a lot of things that are useless. So yeah, I don't really enjoy my primary school. That was a test oriented school. Just I had a lot of bad time there and bad memories.
Okay. Just be careful of your past tense there. You said, I don't enjoy my primary school. Should be, I didn't. I didn't enjoy. Good. Next question. What did you do in your leisure time during primary school?
What did I do in the leisure time? Well, I guess do some homework or I just hang out with my friends. I just chit chat with someone from online. Yeah, and sometimes I would play badminton with my teacher. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, very good. Now that last answer was the kind of length that I want for your answers. The other ones were still maybe a little short, but the last one was the right length, so that was good. A couple of things that we need to talk about. First of all, hilarious and funny. Why have both of those are good words. Why have I highlighted that as a problem?
Because I don't have to say both of them.
Exactly. Good. So just hilarious. Hilarious is a really good word to use, but you don't need to say hilarious. It's like saying enormous and big. It's the same thing. You don't need to say it. This one, boarding school. Do you know that word, boarding school?
Yes, like you live on campus.
Exactly, yeah. So that would have been a really good opportunity to show your English, to show, to use the word boarding school.
Because I was hesitating, like, should I say board school or boarding school? I was not sure, so I didn't use that.
Right, okay, yeah. So there you go. Boarding school. Tell me about the word recite. What does that mean?
like to memorize something. Yeah, memorize the word, memorize this knowledge, some stuff like that.
Not exactly.
Oh.
You're thinking of, well, that's the word memorize.
Oh, wrote.
Recite means.
Never mind. Memorize. And output. Memorize.
In what way?
Like a verbal way.
Good, exactly.
Oh, and
memorize and speak.
Yeah.
That's what recite is. So you like, usually we would recite a poem, or we would recite a story, or we would recite like maybe some facts or something. But the point is that it's very specific to memorizing and speaking. So for you, like in your situation, you said I had to recite lots of exams, or I had to recite lots of information. When I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking she probably means memorize the information.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to. Most exams are written rather than spoken exams, right? Mm-hmm. So usually it would be memorize. Yeah. So I would use memorize. That's your keyword there.
About rote, R-O-T-E, rote stuff. I learned from your booklet, but I forgot the collocations. Oh, yeah. Like rote
learning. Yeah. Yeah, so something like that would be a perfect situation to use it. Good. Like I said to you, be careful of the past tense. Mm-hmm. You don't want to forget about the past tense when it's something like school. Mm-hmm. That's something where a lot of what you say is going to be in the past tense, and even after I told you, I still heard some more that you said that were in the present tense and should have been in the past tense. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I hang out with my friends. It should be I hung out. So H-U-N-G. Yeah, you said, actually you did say played badminton. So that one was correct. But just be careful about all of those verbs if you answer this question.
Hung out with my friends.
Yeah. Good. Now, then I've left the first one until the last place because it's a bit more complicated. I enjoyed reading the book.
I enjoyed reading books.
Yes. Why?
Because the book is about a specific book.
Good. Exactly. Yeah. So the book is like this one here. Mm-hmm. So your teacher says, Tom, I gave you that book last week. What do you think about it? You can say, well, I enjoyed reading the book. It was really good. Yeah, but you're talking in general, right? So it would be reading books.
Yeah, got
it. Okay. Let's go on to part 2. Any questions about this before we move on? Any problems?
No.
Okay, very good. So in part 2, we are going to do many people smiling. Let me load up that. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Oh yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
All right, very good. So I would like you to describe an occasion when many people were smiling. All right?
All right.
So you'll have 1 minute to prepare. Your time starts now. All right, that is your 1 minute. I'd like you to speak for 2 minutes. Your time starts now.
Well, back to the time when I was in the United States, it was Christmas Eve, and my friends held a Christmas party in his apartment. We were doing Secret Santa stuff, and basically, a friend showed me with a T-shirt, and he asked me, "Hey, whose T-shirt is it from?" And I was like, "I guess the T-shirt is from JoJo, cause he always gives me T-shirts and clothes." So lots of people laughed and smiled at the same time, cause it was a really funny. And then later we sang Christmas song together and grabbed some beers and whiskey to drink. So yeah, it got really heavy Christmas vibes there. So all of us were smiling. Um, how much time is it?
You've gone just over 1 minute.
Oh my god! All right. What else can I say? Anyway, we were just chilling, drinking, and watching some movies on Netflix, and it was great time there. So that's why we were smiling at that time.
All right, very good. So time is a problem for us there, Tom. I'm going to. I just need to deal with something for 30 seconds. So let me turn off my camera for 30 seconds, and then I'll be back.
All right.
We'll talk about this.
All right.
Right. So let me share my screen. So I think that the main problem that we have there is that you didn't talk enough, basically.
Yeah.
So that's something that we have to work on. Let's just quickly pull over the question from here. So the question is, like many people were smiling, and then it's always good to follow these suggested topics. Like these ones, you don't lose any points if you don't say them, but they're actually very useful. So they're a good way to structure your answer. So you said when it happened, like it was Christmas a few years ago in America. I think who you were with, like what happened and why many people were smiling, that bit was okay. But I think you really missed out on an opportunity of talking about who you were with.
Oh, yeah.
And in general, I want to give you some advice, which is are you familiar with the 5W1H?
What, where, why, how? What,
exactly, yeah. All of those questions. That's a really good way for you to be able to talk more. So, you got to the point where you had said, like, where you were, you'd said what happened, you'd said why people were smiling, but the one that you missed was who.
Yeah.
And even you could have said when, and then you could have said like it was the time that I was in America and give some details about that. But the way to deal with that situation when you are struggling for things to say is to ask yourself, like, which of the W or H questions have I not answered yet? Which other question is here that I can talk about? And there's always one. There's always one. Like, even if you've talked about when it happened, who you're with, what happened, and why many people were smiling, you can think of another one. You can think of how you felt. You could think of when it happened and What was the background of the situation? So something that I think that you could do by yourself, Tom Tom, is to go through, like, we will send you the set of new questions for this this May to August time period for IELTS. We'll send you that set of questions if you don't have it. And you can just go through and write down for the part 2 questions all of the individual questions that you could ask yourself. So let me give you another example. Let's look at this one. Describe a plan in your life that's not related to work or study. And look, they've already gone with what it's about, why you make that plan, what you need to do first, and how you would feel if it's successful. But let me ask you, which other W questions could we ask ourselves about this? What do you think?
Who do I want to be with in my life?
Good.
And when do I want to start this plan?
Exactly. Any others?
Where do I want to make this plan happen?
Good, yeah. Anything else?
How can I make this plan happen?
How, yeah. How long is another useful one. How long would it take to prepare for this plan? And how long would it take to actually execute this plan? And and there's probably other ones as well that we could think of.
Can I
but
say,
if
like,
you can...
what other people think about my plan?
Good, exactly right. Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. That makes for a very interesting bit of detail. And so when you have all of those, you're not it's not going to be possible to run out of time because you'll have so many things to say. But I would suggest that you go through for each of the questions, you can see all of them here, and write them all down, like write down those questions that you can ask yourself. And when you're practicing these topics, practice answering all of those questions as well. And try to come up with, like, for each question, like if the question is, how long will it take me to complete this plan? You can answer and try to answer for several sentences. And then if you get to the end and you've answered like only 1 or 2 sentences, ask yourself why. It's always good to ask yourself why, and that gives you something else to talk about, to explain more, to give the reasons. So that's something that you can get into the habit of doing. I think that that's a really important thing, because the biggest mistake that you can make in part 2 is not speaking enough. So we have to avoid that.
And I have a question, like, I don't have to answer all the questions they gave me, like when it happened, who you were with, what happened. Just like I can just read the question, describe an occasion when many people were smiling, and I don't have to read the rest of the question, right?
You mean, do you have to read them out loud, or do you have to read them to yourself?
Yeah, no, it means like, sometimes when I just read describe an occasion when many people were smiling, I could have a lot of things to say, but when I see the other sub questions, like when it happened and who you were with, and I would just follow this question, like when it happened, I say when, who, what happened, and you know what I mean.
What you could do... no, I mean, well...
I mean, like, do I have to answer all of the questions here? Like, I don't have to, right?
No.
Yeah, you said...
No, they're not compulsory. They're not required.
All right.
They can be useful as a way of making you think about stuff.
All right.
But the important thing is that you're answering the main question. If you're not answering the main question, if you sort of start by smiling and then go off talking about something completely different, then the examiner knows that you're trying to cheat a little bit. You're trying to avoid the question. So he's not going to give you a high score. But as long as you are answering that question, it's fine.
All right.
One way that you can handle this, Tong Tong, is to say, like, it says you should say when it happened, who you were with, what happened, and why many people were smiling. Now, you could just kind of get rid of them all in like one or two sentences at the start. You can say, so this happened about 4 years ago when I was in America. I was with a group of friends and we were having a Christmas party and people were smiling basically because they were very happy. So let me tell you about it.
Oh.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can see it's like bang, 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 really, really quick to deal with all of these. So that's another way to handle it, but you don't have to.
All right, got it.
Cool. I've heard you say this one a few times. You've got a habit of adding S to friend, but then only talking about one person.
Oh.
I heard it in part one as well when you were talking about primary school and your friend in primary school.
Oh.
So yeah, be careful. So if it's friends, it should be
there.
Apartment, yeah. Or if it's friend, then it's just one. Good. A friend showed me with a T-shirt. I didn't know what you meant by this.
Showed me his T-shirt, I guess.
Ah, okay, right. Okay, showed me his T-shirt. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. It was a really funny.
It was a really funny. I feel I should have said it was a really funny, or it was a really funny present, a gift.
Yeah. Either one is fine, but this one we're missing the noun. Right? So it should be a occasion, incident, or you could just say it's a really funny incident. Yeah. And then one other thing that I want to tell you is that I'd like you to give a better introduction, because right now your introduction, you just sort of got started and I didn't really know what you were talking about. So I would, if I was answering with your question, I would say, well, I want to tell you about an occasion when people were smiling. It was a Christmas party a few years ago that I had with my friends, and everybody had a great time and was very happy. So you give that introduction, and then you get started with the details, with telling the story. But if you don't give the introduction, it's sometimes harder for the examiner to follow what you're talking about. It's hard for the examiner to know, all right, is she talking, what really is she talking? So good to give an introduction. Okay, any questions?
No.
All right, let's go to the next. Yeah, let's go to the next part 2 topic, because we've talked about lots of stuff that's important to practice. Right, so this is a sort of not too different kind of a question. It's also kind of about friends and people and daily life. So it's going to be this one. Describe a time when you shared something with others or another person. This is not written very well. We got this from a different school, so some of their grammar is very bad. So shared something with others or other. All right, so I will give you 1 minute to prepare. Any questions before you start your preparation?
No.
Cool. Right, 1 minute to prepare, and then you'll speak for 2 minutes. Your time starts. All right, that's your 1 minute. I'd like you to speak for 2 minutes. Your time starts now.
Alright, a couple of years ago, I had a big crush on American Country Boy. So, but I was being obsessive and stalkish. So I started shared my worries and private life with my best friend Jojo. Well, basically, I told him like I was having a terrible time. I cannot get over him and I want to move on, but I'm not able to do it. And I told him all about the creepy things I've done to Chance, the crush I had before. And so Jojo helped me a lot by talking to Chance, and he created a chance for me to hang out with Chance. I like to. The reason I want to share it because I was a mess. I was really in a fragile mental condition, so I really had to let it out. Otherwise, I feel like I will just blow up. Well, like after I shared my problems and worries with Jojo, I felt way much better, and I get to move on stronger because Jojo asked me to talk to Chance. I talked to him and realized my fantasy and the real person are not really the same thing. So, yeah. Uh, oh, yeah. So,
That's okay. That's your 2 minutes, actually.
all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Good. Right, that was way better. That was much better. You talked for the full 2 minutes, or well, 1 minute 50 something seconds. So that's basically 2 minutes. But if you come to the end like that, don't just kind of, trail off and say, and then. You have to make it clear that you're finished. You can say, and that's the story. And that's the story of when I shared something with someone.
I was hesitating because I don't know how much time I have said, how long I have said. So.
Yeah. Well, if you feel like it's long enough, you can do a conclusion like that. And if it's not long enough, the examiner will ask you. They'll say, okay, can you tell me any more? And then I've got to talk more. And then you can talk some more. But at least, it's good to come to a clear conclusion.
All right, got it.
Let me make a note of that. Much better introduction this time. This time I was very clear about what you were talking about. It wasn't a confusing story. It was very clear. I suggest that if you this is a good story. It's an interesting story. You've got some great language about it. But don't call the guy Chance. Just change that detail. Because it's really confusing. I got a chance to talk to Chance. Yeah. What are the chances of that? So just change call him John or something. Yeah. Tony. But other than that, I think it was a good choice of story. It's quite personal. But I think that's quite interesting. I think that people, remember that examiners are people and they relate to personal stories. We all it's kind of like gossip, really, isn't it? Yeah. We all like to know this kind of personal information. So it's a way to get the examiner interested. So some good. Let me share my screen because you can't see my screen. Here we go. So I've written down here, come to a clear conclusion, finishing sentence. Good. Let's start at the bottom. My fantasy and the real person. Now that's a good way to explain it, but we could also say, I found out that the fantasy and the reality were not the same. Yeah. Yours was also okay, but this is another good way to say it.
I got a better one. He's a nightmare dressed like a daydream. It's a lyric from Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
From Katy Perry. Oh no,
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, blank
Yeah,
space.
yeah. That song is so annoying to me because as someone like I used to be a musician and I consider myself like a sort of serious musician. And Taylor Swift is, she's like pop and she's very popular, but sort of for me as an artist, she's too popular. But she's also really good.
But her
songs, it's very
her songs are really relatable, like to me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And that's why she's so popular. And it's very good music as well. But it's annoying to me because on the one side, I like the songs, but on the other side, I think, no, I'm a man and I play music and my type of music is different. So I don't like this. So I have like a conflict going on. Anyway, but no, I know what it is. Let's talk about these points then. I was kind being obsessed. What are we missing?
Obsessed with someone, or I was kind of being obsessive.
Yes, you're right. Actually, the thing that I noticed that you're missing is kind of. You have to say kind of.
Kinda.
Or yeah, kinda. Yeah. Exactly. Kinda. So you could say kinda being obsessed. Obsessive. Sorry. Or you could say kinda being kinda obsessed with blah blah blah. Then it would be obsessive about someone. So it's slightly different. So you can say, I was kind of being obsessive about blah, 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 or I was kind of obsessed with blah, blah, blah. I think that this one is the simpler one and it's the better one.
All right.
So I would go with that. You also have stalkish. It would be, the word I suppose would be stalkerish. I was being a bit stalkerish. Or you could say stalkery.
All right. So stalkish is not a real word?
I don't know that any of them are real words. But stalker, of course, is the real one. And so if we want to be very clear about, because we have the right in English to, and you as someone who has good English, we have the right to change the language a little bit, as long as it's clear. Yeah, to coin a word, to coin a term. And doing that with this ish or with this e is a good way to do it. But what we do have to remember is that it needs to be clear. If it's not clear, then it doesn't work. So better to say the full word, stalker, and then ish or stalker.
But I've read
because that's a bit more clear.
I've seen stalkish from online, like from Instagram comments.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do a check. Because I must say that I did understand it, but
all right.
Stalkish.
Like when my friend texts me, they would say stalkish. Yeah.
Oh, maybe you're right. So stalkish or stalkerish. Oh, you can do both. Okay, so you can stick with stalkish then. It seems like stalkish is legitimate. Has a Wikipedia page. Stalkerish. Yeah, but it's not full out stalking, so it's stalkerish. Okay. It's your choice then, really. My instinct would be that stalkerish rather than stalkish would be better, but it's up to you. Because really neither of them are like official words. By the way, don't write this in your writing. This is certainly not suitable for writing. Also, none of these ones are suitable for your writing.
Oh, really?
These are all, these are all informal. A good kind of what we call a rule of thumb, which is like a general rule, not always true, but a general rule, is that, let me write it for you. Longer words equals more formal. Shorter group of simple words equals informal.
All right.
So let me give you an example. Responsible for is more formal. And then in charge of is not informal, but let's call it semi-formal.
All right, got it.
So you can see that it's that difference. Move on.
What is the formal way to say get over or move on?
I'm just thinking about that. It's hard because they're, by nature they are informal topics to get over something. Probably recover from something to get over.
All right.
Move on. I don't know that there is a formal version of that. A mess. What could be a formal way to say something is a mess? What do you think? Any ideas?
You mean like, is it formal to say something is a mess?
No, it's not. You say, I'm a mess.
Yeah, I was a mess, yeah.
Oh, I was a mess, yeah. That would be very, very informal.
All right.
That's just, because think about when you've heard that. You've not heard that in like an official speech of like, the president saying, and I must say that I was a mess. The president doesn't say that.
I barely listen to the speech or news or some stuff like that. Yeah. So like.
Well, that's an interesting point, Tom, because like a lot of your spoken language is quite informal, which is fine actually. You don't have to like come up with a load of formal things for your speaking test. It's good to have some, and that's why we have the vocabulary book. But for the writing test, I'm a little worried that your vocabulary might not be good enough or formal. So I would suggest that you make a habit of reading, like, how much time do you have right now? You've got a good amount of time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will speak to Tracy, and I'm going to make this a sort of a homework thing. And then I want you to find a formal source of reading material, and then read sort of 1 to 2 articles per day. And one good one could be...
Yeah. I do have a book like I'm about to read. It's called Anti-Fragile.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that book...
Anti-fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I feel like the writing there might be formal, I guess.
Let's take a quick look.
Because I don't really like reading newspapers or something like that, because it's really boring and most of the news are fake. It's like a waste of time.
Well, it depends what news source you go to.
Yeah.
Right. If you go to like Fox News or something, or like some of the more basic, like low-level newspapers, then like, it's fake, maybe not, but sort of exaggerated and not reliable and stuff.
It's just,
here's what I think.
Yeah. I just feel like by reading a book, I can learn, like Anti-Fragile, I can learn something. I can learn some real things. But by reading the newspaper, it's just, I don't know, it's just a temporary thing, like you will forget right after you read it.
But here's the thing, you're not reading for... That's kind of true. I think that it's also, if you read stories that you're interested in, then you can remember. But also... you're reading more for language than you are for knowledge in this particular situation. You've got about a month and a half till your test. To read Anti-Fragile, the problem with that is that it's going to be like very focused on one area. And so you'll get very, a lot of good language about, what is it about, like, things that came from disorder.
Randomness, disorder, and
randomness,
predictability. How do you say that? Predictability. Predictability, some stuff like that.
So that's great if the question is, what are some things that are random in life? You know, but that's not really an IELTS question.
All right.
So instead, why don't we look at, this is a website that, do you have I guess you must have a VPN.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can access this website. It's called The Guardian. It's a British newspaper. It's very reliable. That's the first thing. It's not fake news. So you don't have to worry about that part. And you can see that there's like all kinds of different stories. So for example, you know, we can click on here and go to environment, and we could go to even to pollution. And you could read this story. And then you can read this. And this is going to, number one, it'll give you some information to talk about if the question is about environment, which is a very common question in IELTS. And number two, it's going to give you better passive vocabulary for your reading. And number three, it'll probably, you know, you might be able to take some ideas and some words like microplastic contamination and use them in your writing. And it's gonna, like, most importantly, number four, for you, it's going to train you about what is formal language and what's informal language. And what you'll find is that all of the writing in The Guardian is formal, is formal language. So, and you can get it about all kinds of different topics. So let's, oh no. Ugh, really hate 10-cent meetings sometimes, because now it's the little drop down thing has come down, so I have to wait for it to disappear again. There's no way to get it to disappear. Let's go back to news. Let's go to global development. And then we could look at this one, migration. So refugees, people who want to go to other countries because their country is in a terrible state. This is another topic that could come up in the IELTS test. So if you just read one or two of these a day, you don't have to worry so much about retaining the knowledge. It's more of an exposure to the right type of language. That's what you really need right now, Tom Tom.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to ask Tracy to discuss that with you. So, moving back to this. So all of these are really good for your speaking. They're like supernatural, and I can tell that you've, you know, lived abroad and had a crush on a guy called Chance, stuff like that. You have this life experience. Chance, I must say, Chance is a terrible name. I really don't like it. It just like, it feels like his parents just went, Chance, that'll do.
Actually, his full name is Chancellor, but he prefers people to call him Chance.
His full name's Chancellor?
Yeah.
What? It's like a kid being called President. President Jones. Oh my God. Anyway, let's deal with the last ones of these. I felt way much better. What's the problem?
I felt way better.
Exactly. Yeah, or much better, but not way much. Good. I'm a mess. Oh yeah, that's what we were going to do. So how do we say I'm a mess in a more formal way?
My world crumbles around me.
As another Taylor Swift line, isn't it?
No, that's not.
It sounds like it. Is it really not? I actually feel like it is. Something crumbles. There's one song where something crumbles.
Probably something I didn't heard of before, but the crumbles is I learned from the Big Bang Theory. Amy said.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's also a good source of informal language. You could say I'm emotionally unstable. Something like that.
Got it.
Yeah. Or someone is emotionally unstable. So yeah, something like that. You can see that the words are longer, and so it's more formal. I'm a mess is what we would just say kind of day to day. good for IELTS speaking, not good for IELTS writing.
All right. Got it.
All right, so we are coming close to the end. Before we finish, do you have any questions that you want to ask me?
No. Like, I did have questions, but my questions are scattered around. Sometimes I write it on the paper, sometimes I put it on my laptop. Just. Yeah.
Right, okay. So then, how about I give you this homework? Collect questions and ask Francis next class.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Because I know what you mean. I have, like, when I'm thinking of ideas for the videos for Seattle True, I've got like one over here and one is in my phone and then one is like written on my arm. You know, they're all over the place. So then I have to try and find all of them. That would be a good thing to do, though, because this is, you know, it's a good chance. We're going to do practice in the class of the questions like we did today. Yeah. But also, if you have other things that you're not sure about, the class is a good opportunity because then we can talk about it clearly and I can answer you straight away rather than, you know, we have the time difference. So usually when I answer your questions, it's like 12 hours later.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, it's okay, but yeah, like I do think it's better and more efficient to get it done. You know, we can answer like 5 questions in 5 minutes in the class. Okay, so what we're going to do then, Tong Tong, I'm going to create an online document, share all of this material in that, and then you'll be able to check all of that. And then what I also want you to do is practice the questions from today's class by yourself. All right, so practice them again, focus on the grammar points, focus on talking for the full 2 minutes, and adding some vocabulary if you can, maybe some vocabulary from the booklet. Yeah. And then next class we'll look at some more speaking questions, some of the new ones from the May questions.
Alright, but like I've heard some people say like it's just the high level vocabulary are more used in writing instead of speaking. Like they say in speaking tests you need to be more natural instead of using high level vocabulary. Is that right?
It's good to be both, really, because it's your like range of vocabulary and how natural your vocabulary is. Let's quickly look at this. Let me explain it to you because it's important to know. Here we go. Share the different screen. So these are the band descriptors. This is what the examiner uses to decide your score. So if we look at lexical resource, if we look at an 8 here, so lexical resource, vocabulary, it's vocabulary, uses a wide vocabulary resource readily and flexibly to convey precise meaning. So that means you can talk about all kinds of different topics. And for example, if you're talking about an activity that you do near the sea, you know the word for scuba diving, and you know the word like for words related, specific words about that. And if you're talking about, you know, smiling, you know some specific words about smiling and being happy. So that's like the specific stuff. The word precise is important. Then uses less common and idiomatic vocabulary skillfully with occasional inaccuracies. So less common and idiomatic vocabulary includes both things. It includes stuff like what you've been saying, like I'm a mess. What was the other one that you used? Like stalkerish, stuff like that. The sort of more informal ones. And it includes formal things as well. Both of them would be considered as less common and idiomatic vocabulary. And to be able to get an 8, you need to be able to use some of them. Now, you already have some of them from your time living in America and also listening to like American music and watching American TV shows. So you're in a good position for that, but you can always add more. And I think that right now you have a lot of the informal ones, but it's still good to add some formal stuff. And that's how the vocabulary booklet will help you. Reading the Guardian website will help you. And Also checking out, next week we're going to release our full answers. So we're going to I'm right now creating full answers with lots of extra vocabulary and all kinds of things for our for the new questions from May. So that will have a mix of formal and informal language in there. So that would also be something that you should consider looking at. And then also it says uses paraphrase, which is like when you don't know quite how to say something, you can use your language flexibly to find another way to say it. So with all of those, what it means in a simple way is that, yes, high-level vocabulary is important for speaking. You'll probably be able to use more high-level vocabulary and very formal vocabulary for writing because you have like an hour to choose exactly which words you want to say. But yeah, like it's still important for speaking.
All right, got it. And like,
does that make sense?
Yeah, and for the writing, like I only want to get 7, so I really don't like attach too much importance to writing. Yeah, it's like I would like to get higher score on speaking, but for writing, like 7 is good for me.
Well, that's fine, but you still need to work. Like a 7 is not something you can just say, "Oh, it's okay. I'll just have a 7. Thank you very much." You still have to work towards it. And right now, your writing is not quite at 7 level, really. I think what have I given you each time? 6.5.
Yes.
So far, yeah. So, and writing is something that really, you've got a month and a half before you take the test, so you can definitely get to a 7. But you're not going to get to a 7, just by doing the extra 3 writing markings and giving them to me, and that will be enough. That's definitely not enough. And that's why I also want you to read that, like 1 or 2 articles from The Guardian, because that really is going to be very focused on your writing and helping it get better.
Got it.
Cool. Right, Tonton, well, we better finish.
Right.
So it was good to see you.
Good to see
and
you too.
I enjoyed hearing all about your stories about chance and all of that. And so we'll have class. I think next class we can also have another speaking class. To keep kind of keep improving for your speaking. And then maybe class 3 could be a writing class, and then 4 and 5 speaking, something like that. But we can decide that as we go. When is our next class, by the way? I haven't checked.
It's like probably a week later.
Okay, a week from now. That's cool. So that'll be good. So in the next class, we'll start to look at some other new writing and new speaking questions. All right?
All right.
Right, Tong. Any questions you can ask in the group? I'll share the document with you. Have a good evening.
All right.
And I'll see you next week.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.